So let's look at some Industrial Revolution history. For the slides that are coming up as well, there's a number of references that are down there where some of the material actually came from, and so further study could be done by looking at some of those references as well. But thinking about Industrial Revolution history for a moment, we're talking about the fourth Industrial Revolution, but where did this all come from? We started off in the 1780s with the first Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution was characterized by steam power. So no longer using animals or people pushing heavy objects and moving things. We're able to use steam for transportation, but also to mechanize machinery and to make things automatic in that regard. So we had steam factories, we had this in metallurgy, we had this in transportation, and we had it in things like weaving and textile industries as well. Our next Industrial Revolution, the second Industrial Revolution, we fast forward to the 1870s. And here, the big step is the electrification of factories. So with electricity, we have a whole lot of different machines that can be introduced to create different things for us. We have a mass production available to us to produce things on a much larger scale than what we did previously. And we had engines and turbines of different sizes that allow us to produce things and produce things in a much more efficient sense. We fast forward to the 1960s and we had robots entering the workplace. And these robots allow a whole lot of automation to actually produce things, and so people don't necessarily have to produce a lot of these things. We have robots doing that. We saw those first robots involved in the automobile industry, but they've taken off so much since then. And then we come to the fourth Industrial Revolution, what we're talking about at the moment, where we take a lot of these former technologies of robotics, of sensors and data and networking, all of those sort of things, and joining them together. It's where they're all starting to converge, where everything's connected to everything, where we've got data coming off everything, where we can control everything, where we've got what we call digital twins. So we've got a simulation version of something else running, and we can simulate and make changes in our simulation and see how that will affect our production processes. Where we've got everything in the cloud, where we've got autonomous computing, where we've got so-called cyber-physical systems, and where we've got smart sensors that tell us what's going on and enable us to make changes before something breaks down, or perform predictive maintenance schedules before things actually break down. Well, here's some of the different technologies that are involved, and we see data is one of those central points there. When we have the data, we know what's going on in our systems, and we know what things we can optimize and how we can optimize them. If we don't have that, we're flying blind. There's a whole lot of other technologies there and enabling factors. For example, the additive manufacturing in the form of 3D printing. We've got the Internet of Things idea and the connectivity that's brought in with that. We've got the robotics there, which is the main focus of this particular subject. And we've also got the big hassle of system integration and actually getting all these things talking to each other and all communicating properly. Well, there's a few different terms that are used in the industry. Industry 4.0 is one of them. The Industrial Internet of Things is another. And so the idea is Industry 4.0, this was a German government initiative, 2011. They basically looked and identified some of their key strengths within their economy and set a priority to create what they've called Industry 4.0, primarily focused on manufacturing and the manufacturing industry. How can all these sort of things be founded in that industry? A consortium consisting of over 200 different members from around the world came up with the Industrial Internet of Things just a year after. So GE was one of the lead companies in this, but there's other big players like AT&T, Intel, Cisco and IBM. And their focus was not just on manufacturing, but producing something that can go across the board in any industry to utilize that data and utilize these different technologies to get the same sort of gains that we could in our manufacturing industry. And so now there's discussions at very high levels trying to get these two different ideas to converge and use similar technologies and similar terminology so that we start heading in the same direction rather than having two really good competing ideas. The other thing that comes up is the Internet of Things, and this is done at more of a consumer level. Basically thinking about things like household automation and improving our convenience within the household. And there's lots of examples of this around houses, things like smart thermostats, smart lighting, smart locks, pet feeders, smart power points, and things like that. So more of a consumer level, lower level, compared to the industrial Internet of Things, where we see these things in the workplace, where we have automation that's happening and really making vast improvements in efficiency and in safety and other areas like that.